Charles, what's your opinion? Do you think that the King should open the doors to Clarence House or Buckingham Palace and sit down with Harry?
Well, I don't think he should, but I agree with Victoria that it's the sadness is that this is a father and son who are at daggers drawn or have been at daggers drawn. I can't see any way forward for either of them because of, well, there's a number of issues. There's the trust issue. I mean, are you going to have Harry in a room and talk to him about a variety of things, and then watch the news bulletins from America where it's all been revealed? Now, the big problem is that Harry is flying 5,500 miles to get to London. The King is still 500 miles away in Scotland, in Balmoral. Now, I know that he's doing various things and coming down and then flying back, but he's going to be in Balmoral till the end of the summit. Now, it's unlikely you would expect the King to fly down again just to sit and have a cup of tea with Harry. It is possible that Harry could go up to Balmoral. I mean, we just don't know. And obviously in this game, you should never say never about anything, because we never know what's going to happen. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's a number of other factors as well. You've got the William factor. And from everything that everybody tells us, William's not interested in any reconciliation. You've got the Meghan factor. I'm still of the belief, and I haven't changed my opinion on it, that this woman will never set foot back in this country again. Now, if she doesn't set foot back in this country in the short term, then Archie and Lilibet is not going to come back. And that's another drama that the King will not be seeing his American grandchildren. So unless you can coax Meghan back into... You can't just have Harry reconciling with the royal family. You've got to have Meghan and Harry reconciling. And given that everything that they've said in Spare, Oprah Winfrey, any other programmes that they've been on, I can't see it happening.
Do you think Meghan needs to? Because I think by Harry saying it's not safe to bring Meghan back to the UK, it removes an obstacle.
Well,
when Meghan first joined the royal family, Britain embraced her with open arms. A Hollywood star turned Duchess, the world watched as she and Prince Harry promised a new, modern royal era. But behind the smiles and ceremonies, cracks began to form. And what began as a love story soon became a royal disaster. When Meghan and Harry stepped back from royal duties, the nation was stunned. To many, it felt like abandonment, a rejection of duty, tradition, and the very people who once adored them. And with each interview, each accusation, Meghan's connection to the UK grew weaker, until it broke entirely. Surveys show what the palace never says aloud. Meghan's popularity in the UK has plummeted to record lows. Once viewed as a breath of fresh air, she's now seen as the outsider who turned her back on the crown and then cashed in on the fallout. Her image, once royal, is now irreversibly Hollywood. Insiders claim Meghan feels she can't safely return to Britain not just because of the press, but because of public hostility. Her last visit was tense, distant, and heavily scrutinized. The Duchess, who once waved to cheering crowds, now faces a nation that has turned its back. Her return isn't just unlikely, it's unwanted. In trying to escape the monarchy, Meghan may have lost more than titles, she lost trust. The fairy tale is over, the bridge to Britain is burned, and reconciliation seems like a dream too distant to reach. The Duchess, who wanted to redefine royalty, has instead redefined exile. Once hailed as the future of the royal family, Meghan Markle now stands as its most divisive figure. The story began with promise and ended in silence. And now, across the Atlantic, one truth remains. For Meghan Markle, Britain isn't home anymore, and it never will be again.
With the greatest respect, Matt, that is an absolute load of old tosh.
Yeah.
That he's saying that. This is a much safer country than the one he's living in at the moment.
But it does remove, a problem. If the family didn't want to speak to Meghan, it's just Harry that comes over.
I can't see how you could possibly have a reconciliation without the whole family being involved.
Okay.
I think Harry can come. He's coming by himself,
Sure.
and I think he can meet with his father. I agree that there is an issue, a trust issue there over conversations. Harry's put a lot of stuff into the public domain, but I don't think that disqualifies a meeting. I think there can, I think it's something that the royals are very mindful of, and of course you would tread carefully in that situation, but I think they can still meet. when Harry did that interview in May, I thought it was so different to the way he's spoken before about this. When he spoke, when he was promoting his book, when he was giving interviews around Spare, when he was talking about reconciliation at that time, it felt a lot more conditional. It felt like he was talking in the way that the royal family had to come to the table with, in a certain way, for him to accept that reconciliation. And then when he gave his interview in May, to me, it was just like a completely different tone. It was so much more kind of him. It felt so much more emotional. It felt like any idea that there was any conditions attached were gone. He just wanted that reconciliation. And so that's why I feel like there's been a shift. And I think, yeah, the logistics, but, you know, this is the royal family and these people are capable of overcoming these logistics. And so I think it is possible, yes.
Well, they've got plenty of places to have a chat and plenty of time. We pointed out there, so you're right, we do understand that the King is going to remain based at Balmoral or Birk Hall up in Scotland until the end of September, but he will pop back and forth. He should be at Braemar Games on the Saturday, and he may well come back for, you know, a cancer treatment or for an engagement during the week, which may shorten the window. But there would be opportunities for them. If they were to meet, what do you think they would actually talk about?
Very little, I think, really, because I don't, you know, there is that trust issue and it's still there. But I think just to have that meeting would be meaningful.
Why is it so much important now? Because he has been over a couple of times. He pointed out February, just after the King had announced he had cancer, he came back and I think he had like half an hour with the King at Clarence House.
I think it just gets more important the more time that passes. Harry, when he's come over previously, has come over in the context of court cases and and that is, I think, has been a sticking point, has been tricky. And this feels like we've moved beyond that now, and he's going to be here. That just, to me, just feels like the mood is that it's very possible.
But I think we've got to remember the origin of this source of him coming, or maybe coming over here, which a lot of people seem to have jumped on, which was from an unnamed American source. Yeah. And with the greatest of respect to people in America, unless I hear it from someone in this country that I know, who actually knows what's going on, and I think you're right with your opening remark that there's very few people who actually know what's going on. And I think a lot of particularly broadcasters jumped on that, oh, Harry's coming over, there's got to be a reunion bandwagon. And will it happen? I'm not sure. I don't think it will, but who knows?
And if it happens, will we know about it? That's the thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, well...
that's the one thing that I guarantee. If it happens, we will know about it at some stage.
Probably right, yeah.
Well, that's our job to find out this kind of thing. And I would endeavour to find out during the whole week. Let's imagine if we were all sat down here in a couple of weeks' time and we find out that Harry hadn't met his father. What kind of message do you think that sends out to both, to the British public and to Harry and to the King if he was over here for 4 or 5 days and they didn't meet?
But the rift is still on. I mean, there is no sign of the rift, ending. And I still maintain you still need to have, for an end to the rift, you still need to have the input of William and Meghan. The cancer may be, if it does happen, maybe the one thing that you can break the ice with, where he would sort of ask, how you doing, how's things, how's the battle going? Mm-hmm. But you still got to get down to the nitty-gritty of everything that's been said, the allegations of racism.
I kind of feel that they can meet without having to have everything out. And I think that what Harry said in May made me feel that is now where he sees it as being, where previously he was sort of suggesting that he wanted to have all these conversations if they were going to have a relationship, whereas now I feel like there is, and that is families, there's often a lot of stuff that does go unsaid, and I think you can have a meeting and you can see each other and speak about some things without having to go over everything. I think that's possible.
If I accept that, I don't entirely, but if I accept that, you've still got to do with the fact that the King's going to say, how are the grandchildren? How's Meghan? Am I ever going to see them again? I mean, that is still, a thorny subject. You cannot have a reconciliation with just Harry alone. He's got a family in America, and that family, that part of that family, or the Meghan part of that family, has made it clear of her points that she has against the royal family and Britain. You know, her relationship with Britain is destroyed.
It's a strong argument, Charles. It's something that I've not really. I thought it's easier when it's just Harry, but it's a strong argument because there are many moving parts.